Well, hello everyone. It's been quite a while since I posted a video, a couple months I think, and I thought I would just make a quick video to kind of give everybody an update about what's going on. I've been incredibly busy with work, and I've also been battling a cold and a cough for the last month or so, so it's really made it difficult to try and do anything on camera. Don't want you guys listening to me coughing, and it's finally starting to let up. And, just because I haven't been making videos doesn't mean I haven't been model railroading. Here in just a minute we'll turn the camera around over to the bench and I'll give you an idea of what I've been working on, because I have actually been working on quite a number of things, but I just don't make videos, and you know, getting everything set up for the video is part of my challenge. So I need to work on coming up with a way to allow me to more quickly get set up and be able to put the video together so that I can get some content out there, and even if it's just some short stuff. So I apologize for how long it's been. Hopefully I'm going to be able to start getting some more videos out on a regular basis. I am looking forward to doing that, and I've also been trying to keep up with everything that's going on with you guys out there on YouTube, and even that's been a challenge just because I've been so busy. And thanks for watching. I appreciate all my subscribers, and if any of you are watching one of my videos for the first time and you find it interesting, please subscribe, hit the bell icon so that when I do publish new videos you'll be notified. Thanks again. Okay, so here we are at the workbench, and I'm going to just kind of hit on a number of different projects in no particular order, just to give you guys a sense of what I've been working on. So we'll start with what you see right here front and center on the workbench. So this is an old Walther's Doodlebug that's unlettered. And I picked this up from a buddy at my train club for a good price, even though it is just DC. And it's got this, if you can see here, it's got the rubber band drive, so I don't expect it will have a lot of power, but then it doesn't really need to do much. It will need to ultimately pull one passenger car. So the story behind acquiring this Doodlebug is that for those of you who have seen a couple of my videos, you may realize that I am modeling the Maryland and Pennsylvania, the Ma and Pa Railroad, in 1949-1950, and they had two Doodlebugs, number 61 and number 62. And Bachman Spectrum has a Maryland and Pennsylvania Doodlebug with passenger car, which I picked up, and I was very excited to get that. Got that, and it's nice. It runs well. It's DCC, ready to go, and just has one problem. So here is the Bachman Spectrum Doodlebug. You can see the Bachman is 71 feet HO scale feet long, or 72, and the actual Doodlebug, the Walther's one here, is the correct size for what was on the Maryland and Pennsylvania. So the Bachman Spectrum Doodlebug is completely wrong for the prototype. So this also came with a passenger car, which is also too long and beautiful. I actually put people in there. I don't know if you can see, I went through and added people to that guy, and I'm going to weather it, and I will actually run this down at my club for our open houses, but this will not run on my railroad because it is completely wrong. So anyway, I've got this new Doodlebug that I'm going to have to paint. It's unlettered, so I'll paint that up and put DCC in it. So there will be a video coming on that eventually. Okay, then in the background, and I apologize for the noise you can hear, my sons are having a Halloween party, and it's just getting rolling, I think. But here, so in the background you might be able to hear, this is a Bachman Spectrum. This is also a Maryland Pacific 460 10-wheeler number 27. This is correct, reasonably correct to the prototype, and this was a DCC ready engine, and so I put a decoder in it from WOW TCS, and everything went great. This was way back in like February. Then a month or two ago, all of a sudden I realized that it wasn't making sound correctly anymore. It was making some god-awful noises and whatnot. So I ended up sending the decoder back to TCS under their warranty, and they couldn't replicate the problem. And so they sent it back to me, and I immediately had the same problem. And now I had tested the speaker and everything else as best I could, and the speaker seemed fine. Well, it turns out it was a bad speaker, so I ended up having to replace that speaker, and so I bought a different speaker, a 1-watt speaker instead of the half-watt. Swapped that out, and I've yet to put that back together, and this needs to go into a box to ship to Canada to John Crowdis at JC's Rip Track. He's gonna weather this for me, so I'm looking forward to getting that done. So that was a project that took up some of my time. Okay, let me grab the next one. Hold on. So another thing that I did is I wanted to try my hand at hand laying a turnout. So this is a number 5 turnout that I hand laid using a borrowed Fast Tracks jig for number 5 turnout. This is also using their quick sticks for the ties on the bottom here. But I built this turnout, and I figured that if you use the quick sticks, which are about $7, you can build these turnouts for about $10 in materials. If you use actual individual ties instead of the quick sticks, you can build a turnout for about $4, and I like $4 much better than $15, $20, $25. So I plan to do some more of these. In fact, I plan to probably hand lay most, if not all, of the turnouts on the layout that I'm still in the design phase, but we're making some progress, and we'll touch on that later. So this still needs to be painted, and then I need to make 100 more of these or whatever it is. But so this is another thing that I did get accomplished over the last couple months. And now moving over to the other workbench, you can see what has been taking up the majority of my time. This is actually a fine scale miniatures kit number 50, I believe it is. The ice station. It's not kit number 50, Burrett's Ice Station. So I picked this up at the New Jersey division of the NMRA, the division meet back in September, I guess it must have been. Yeah, and I had been wanting to build an ice house, and this one was available, and I got it for a much better price than what you may have seen there on the box. And then while I was at the division meet, they started talking about upcoming contests, and I've never participated in any of the contests or submitted any models for AP certificates or anything. But the next contest, which is up on November 9th, is the next meet, the New Jersey meet, is a railroad structure. And I sent an email to the contest chairman, and I said, hey, would an ice house count? And he said absolutely. So I started building this kit, and having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's coming out pretty good. But let me just touch base on a couple things here that I did. A couple of problems that I had. Let me use this as a pointer. This staircase right here is not the actual metal casting that came with the kit. The metal casting that came with the kit was actually too short, and in order to be able to make it touch the bottom here and be level with this platform here, it had to be at a very steep angle, and the treads were no longer parallel to the ground. So I didn't use that. This is out of the Walters HO steps and ladders assortment. So I used that. Another thing that I had is this door here, and let me move over here if you could come at a little bit different angle. And if you can see this door up here where you can see the guys pulling the ice out of the ice house are not part of the kit. I looked at this, they were not there, and I'm looking at this thinking, well, the only way as the kit was delivered to get the ice to the platform was to go up these stairs. And I'm like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. So I fabricated this little door here that leads to the inside, and theoretically there's some kind of mechanical conveyance that brings the ice up, the guys pull the ice out, and then they take it down the platform and put it on into the reefers, which the track is on this side here. So I added both of those. I added it comes with some old-timey signs that I guess the building was intended to be much more of a turn-of-the-century building. I'm trying to model in the 40s, 50s type of time train, although this won't actually go on my layout because the mom and pa did not actually have any ice houses on their railroads. So, but anyway, so I changed the sign. I didn't use the Burrett's ice sign. I did use here, if you can see, I guess I should zoom in. This is the original window glazing that came with the kit. It has the printed mullions on it, if you can see back there. And initially, I didn't have the blinds in there, and you couldn't even, with no light inside the building, you couldn't even tell that there was mullions there. So I printed some blinds, scaled down to HO, and there's another window on the other side. So I put the blinds in there. I think that actually came out really well. I'm very, very pleased with that. The signs here, I just printed out some signs. There's another one. This isn't actually connected, so I can spin this around. There's another sign here that I put. I printed these out on a printer, and then I sanded them down on the back to get them very, very thin, and then glued them onto the building, and used a scribe to kind of push the paper down into the clapboard line, so it looks more like it's actually adhered to the building. So those signs are a little bit different than what they did. This right here, if you can see, this right here is to hide some imperfection. I cannot tell you how much difficulty I had in making these little sidewalls fit the angle of this roof. So this side was actually came out pretty good, but the other side, there was quite a gap. So I had to add these, and so then I had to match it on the other side. I also added this right here. I guess I was thinking when it was just this part of the kit, I'm like, how are these stairs being held up, because there was nothing there. But in the end, I realized that it's probably supposed to be that the stairs are attached. You can't see that. The stairs attached to the platform here. So anyway, I added that, and then of course all the details I just threw in there. So anyway, I've got this almost done. Sorry about that, and I've got to have it completed by the 9th, or the 8th, so I can take it on the morning of the 9th. Had a lot of fun putting this together, but it has taken quite a bit of time. But fortunately, I think it came out pretty good. So along with that, so this is the contest for November. They announced both the contest for January, which is a detailed passenger or baggage car, which I don't think I'm going to participate in. But then they talked about the one for March, which is called the Boxcar Challenge. So let me grab that and show you that real quick. Okay, in the previous segment, some of you might have noticed this piece of a Southern Pacific boxcar sitting here on my workbench. At the NMRA division meet, they announced the Boxcar Challenge, where basically it's for HO, you can do it any scale you want, but for HO it's a 6-inch by 10-inch diorama where you take a boxcar and you turn it into something else, something that's still recognizable as a former boxcar. And so they had a box of cruddy old Tyco Mantua boxcars. So I grabbed this one, and I grabbed this one because it actually had a couple of cows inside of it, and I was planning to try to do something and actually incorporate the cows, but they actually turned out to be not HO scale. They were extremely large cows, so the cows are out. But what I did do is I had this idea of turning the boxcar into a fly-by-night salvage and junkyard and towing. So I actually started working on it, even though this isn't due until March of 2020. But I actually spent quite a bit of time on this. So let's take a quick look at where we're at. This is still a long way from done, but you can kind of see what I'm going for here. So there's obviously quite a lot of detail pieces in here. But let me get in closer here. Sorry about that. Let's take a look at what I did. So let me get some of these detailed parts off of here. So again, my plan was to have a kind of a fly-by-night, kind of a shady junkyard slash salvage yard slash tow operation. So the first thing that I did, sorry about that, let me take this off, is you can see, hopefully you can see that I actually ended up covering the original floor with individual boards up to about this point, and then I decided to just go ahead and fill it in with some little plywood there. But it's only this part here is going to be visible with the open door, so that's the part that I did the individual boards. You can see I have a stove here that ultimately comes out there. And so I cut this piece out of it, and then I spliced it together. And again, I intentionally made it a little bit cruddy, just again because this is some fly-by-night company, and they're not real worried about how good of a cut welding and paint job that they do on it. So then here you can see again I printed out a sign, sanded down the back to get it nice and thin, and then put it on here, and hopefully you can see that you can actually see the rivet detail coming through there. So I think that came out pretty good. Looks like a sign actually glued to the side of this old boxcar. On this side, what I've done is I've filled in the majority of the opening, and then this is a titchy piece here that will ultimately get glued in there. So this will be a personnel door, and then I'm going to have this little bit of corrugated roof over the top here. We'll probably have a little chair or something out, have some guys out back smoking or playing checkers or doing something out on the back. So with the inside again, and you can see here, there's a pinup girl in there on the wall, as you would expect from this kind of a operation. Again, the existing stuff was just painted over, not real concerned about making it look pretty. Most of that doesn't get seen unless they're closed up for the night. So, so again, a lot of detailed parts that I put in here. None of this stuff is fixed down. So the frame is up on these big 4x4, 8x8 posts. I guess 8x8 posts. They're stuck there on the ground, and I've printed up some other signage here. Credit, don't ask. Again, I don't know what I'm actually all going to use. This is another little pinup poster that I. And then I've got the guy over here. He's got his car towed. He's don't know what the heck's going on. A bunch of different figures. So again, so this is kind of where I'm going at it. But again, I spent quite a bit of time putting this together, and then I'm like, wait, why am I working on this? I got months. I got to do something for November. So anyway, this is another project that I've been working on the last 2 months. Not making any videos about it. Shame on me. But what I find happens with me is I say, well, let me just poke around. Let me try it. Oh, here's my little car. Let me just try something. I'll make a video if it looks like it's going to work out. And the next thing I know, it's 5 hours later, and I'm so far into the project. I'm like, not going to do a video. So that's something I need to work on. It just comes down to the fact that making the videos is still a little bit of a chore for me, and I got to figure out how to get better at that. So then the next project we can talk about. Again, if you're keeping an eye on everything that's going on the Workbench, you might have seen, let me back up again, you might have seen this. And that is a Kato NW2, which I purchased off of eBay. It's a DC, and for anybody who knows anything about this, these are a nightmare to put a decoder in because it is literally all metal. So you end up almost having to mill out the frame. So I'm not even thinking about that right now because it's going to be a great big problem. But what I have done, as you can see here, this was I think it was a Santa Fe, was what it was painted for. So I stripped off the existing paint and numbering and have repainted it flat black, and I've got the necessary decals to turn this into Maryland and Pennsylvania number 80 or 81, which the Ma and Pa had 2 NW2s. These are not completely correct because these are phase 1s, and the Ma and Pa had phase 2s or phase 3s. But it's going to be close enough. So let me show you one more thing, and then we'll wrap that up. Okay, so I don't know if I've ever really shown the layout space at all in any previous video. So here it is. Well, this is part of it, so I'll walk you around. But the thing that I did do is right here along this wall in the back in the corner there was a sectional sofa that has been down here in the basement for years, and it had a sleeper and a recliner in it, so it was quite heavy, and I finally coerced my son into helping me take that out. We put it on the street on the curb with a sign for free for the last 3 days. No takers, so I think it's time for 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and I've got a number of other things that I can get hauled away as well. So anyway, this is the layout space, and I'll take you around and I'll show you what's going on there. If we come around here, sorry about the pole, and you can see there's the official Switch List YouTube studio, and then over here there's actually a desk and chair. This curtain that you see there made out of old sheets was actually for when there was a ping pong table down here, and that was part of the ping pong ball containment system to try and keep the ping pong balls from disappearing into the other side of the basement. So that will come down. The layout space will basically fill up that same distance, across here, and go back about another 10 feet or so. So the overall layout space is 13. Sorry about that. So the overall layout space is 13 from across from here to that wall, and then from where it will be down there up down here to this wall is 25 feet. So 13 by 25, and then it will come across here, and ultimately there'll be a staging yard down on this section for it will represent Baltimore, and that will be represented on this wall here. So anyway, that's the future plans. The track plan is probably 80% done, and I need to really get it finished up because the guys in my club are chomping at the bit to come over here and help me build it. So that's what I've been up to for the last 2 months. I'm sorry it's been no content coming out. That will definitely change here going forward now that this cough seems to finally be, if not gone, at least under control. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and I look forward to seeing you down the rails. Take care.